Hi everybody, my name's Alex McGregor with Chasing Luminance Photography. Tonight we're going to use 3 different cameras, point them at the night sky to take some star trail images, all with the purpose of finding out whether we're on a flat Earth with a dome or if we're on a ball hurling through space. This is going to get interesting. Am I actually making a video about the shape of the Earth? Wasn't this decided whether or not it was flat or if it was a sphere a really long time ago? Apparently not everybody agrees. In the beautiful age of social media, we have access to a whole world full of opinions, and that has its goods and its bads, but one thing you learn is that not everyone sees eye to eye on what we all perceive to be the reality around us. There's so many Facebook groups that are debating the shape of the Earth still, and it gets pretty heated and it's kind of hilarious. So I've been reading through some of this stuff and the debate is not finished. In fact, it is alive and well. So I thought I could use my expertise of photographing the stars and my observations to shed a little light on what the shape of our Earth may be. So to do that, I designed a little experiment. I wanted to take a photograph in a simulated universe. I wanted to do it on a flat plane spinning a camera and also suspended, like the globe theory suggests, spinning a camera. So under this table, I built a elementary school style blanket fort so I can watch my Rugrats while I eat my Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and I surrounded it with stars. So I just got these little twinkle lights and I draped it all around, under, over, side to side to kind of represent the universe. And so how are we going to determine whether or not we are sitting on the bottom of a dome universe or if we're suspended as a ball in a vast, circular, massive universe? Well, I raided my wife's cake decorating supplies. This is a little pedestal that you can spin and it helps you ice a cake all evenly. But if you just look at it, doesn't it kind of look like the map of the flat Earth? There's the Arctic Circle, there's the equator, and there's the Antarctic ice wall right here. So I thought this could actually work to spin our little camera. So what I did is I simply set the camera onto my spinning Earth, into my blanket fort universe, turned my stars on, and set this to take a 2-second exposure and just spun it. And I figured this could show what the star trail pattern it would make would be like if the Earth was flat. So then what about if the Earth is a ball? Well, we insert Mr. Tripod here. With the GoPro on the tripod and our twinkly stars going all the way around it, they're above it, they're below it, and they're in every direction. So this will give us a star trail pattern that would represent what it would look like on a globe. So again, I set that 2-second timer and gave it a spin. So let's take a look at the photos that came out of this experiment real quick. So here we're looking at the first photo, and that was with the GoPro just on the flat Earth here. And it kind of looks similar to what you might get if you're pointing towards the north in a regular star trail photo. All the stars are making one circle and they seem to be pivoting around a specific point. Now, I didn't point up far enough to find Polaris, but you can still see the shape of the circles. Now, one thing you'll notice here is the star trails right at the bottom, so right at the horizon of our flat Earth, they don't seem to make as much of a curve. It seems like it curves more the further up or towards Polaris you would go, but as it gets lower to the flat Earth horizon, it seems like those dips kind of flatten out. So that's an interesting shape there. Now let's do this experiment with the globe theory, where the stars are completely surrounding the imaging device. So in this image, it's kind of interesting. The stars right in the middle are making that straight flat line because as this pivots, those ones that are level to it aren't going to shift at all. But notice on the top and the bottom of this frame, they start to have opposing circles. So the ones on the top are curving towards the top and the ones on the bottom are curving towards the bottom. So I feel like if the globe theory is correct, we should be able to get something that replicates this with straight lines in the middle and curving lines on either side. So this is the rudimentary little experiment I'm doing, but I think the theory works. So if you don't like this experiment, if you think it could be improved, if you think this theory isn't very practical for testing the shape of our Earth, leave me a comment, let me know how I can improve this experiment to get more conclusive information. So for this test, I wanted to make sure that I got star trails using different methods because I didn't want anything I captured to be thought of as Photoshop, faked, you know, CGI or whatever it might be. So for that reason, my first camera I'm going to be using is right here. This is the OM System OM1. This has a super cool feature called the live composite feature. So basically it leaves the shutter exposing to whatever the environment is, and it records data, the brightest data, as it reaches the sensor. So as the stars move, it will record new stars and save it all to one file. So this isn't going to have any Photoshop, any post-processing. It will be a raw file that we can see genuinely what the star trail movement is like. Kind of similar to that, I'm going to be running a GoPro because as you just saw in that test at home, I was able to capture those trails with the GoPro. So this GoPro 12 Black has a star trail feature. So we're going to let that run and see what results it gives us. And also right here, I have a Canon R5. With this, I'm going to be taking 30-second images over the duration of the exposure time, combining them on the computer to create my star trails. So I feel like with these 3 different cameras running, we can get a really genuine, authentic, and undeniable result of what shapes these star trails make. Now I'm gonna get these cameras set up, firing at these stars. We're gonna aim them to the west, and we'll leave them for a couple of hours and come back and see what results we get. All right, so let's check out the photos we got with our R5, the 14mm lens. Again, these are just taking regular photos one after another and recording them to the card. So you can see right here, I'm at f4 for 30 seconds. This is slightly underexposed. Actually, it's pretty underexposed, but it'll show the shape of the stars. So here's what it looks like if we just run it through in Lightroom. You can see how they're moving. You can see the cats at Breckenridge Ski Resort moving there. So with these images from the R5, I did process them through LR time-lapse to create this time-lapse that you're watching right now. So with this, I did adjust a little bit of the color and the brightness and the contrast, but I didn't change anything really important in the image. So now we're gonna take all of these files that I got through LR time-lapse and render them through a program called StarStax to create our star trails. So we're gonna open up StarStax and we're going to drag all of the files from LR time-lapse folder into StarStax. The only really change I'm going to make here is to click this box that says save after each step. This will allow me to render a new time-lapse where you'll see the progression of the star trails. So now I'm going to render these files and I'll show you right now what the final result looks like. Well, that is pretty clear, isn't it? As you saw those stars progress, you see that there was that one really clean straight line that was right about where Orion was. And then on the corners, it seems to make opposing circles. So that definitely reminds me more of one of the images from our test than the others. But we were using 3 cameras. So let's check out what the GoPro had to show. And this is a video the GoPro rendered that's a lot like the R5. And again, we're seeing that same pattern. All right, let's look at the photo from the GoPro. Yeah, we can really see that it matches what the R5 was giving us. So that seems to suggest a specific shape there. Now let's also look at what the OM1 was able to give us with the 7mm lens. And again, this one is taking the live composite, so it's just recording all of the data, almost like a 35mm film would record all of the data at once. And yeah, we can see it really clearly. It has that same shape where it's curving on one corner one direction, on the other corner the other direction, and the lines in the middle are pretty straight. So I'm gonna put these up next to the GoPro video, or the GoPro photos from our test. And what do you guys think? Do these star trails seem to indicate that the Earth is flat or that it's a globe and a sphere? So that's my test. It seems to show one very clear answer, but please leave your comments. How could this test be better? What does this test result show to you? Is it deceiving? Is it very, very clear? Has the debate been settled in this one simple video? Let me know. Subscribe for more videos. Give me your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you on the next one.